Hey everybody, my name is Eric Hopkins and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you all. And I just got done watching the very first episode of the new Star Wars The Bad Batch animated show on Disney+. I'm going to do a little quick non-spoiler review here before I get into any spoilers. So if you've not seen the show yet, don't worry about me ruining it here. I thought it was a good start to a new series. It picks up right after the end of the Clone Wars series finale and Revenge of the Sith, the film. And I thought they did a good job of picking right up from that point, especially when it comes to the new Clone Force 99. The show did a very good job of introducing us to all the individual clones, Hunter, Tech, Wrecker, Crosshair, Echo, which was also in the Clone Wars earlier in the series as well, and introducing a new character in Omega, a young clone girl that is on the planet of Kamino. The show is heavily going to revolve around these 6 characters, and I think there's a lot of places that they set this show up to explore these character arcs moving forward. I'll get into that a little bit more when I get into my spoiler section here. But overall, it's a good jumping off point for the new series. I think it's got a lot of potential. There was also some cool cameo appearances in this first episode, and the episode's about 75 minutes long, a little over an hour, and so it's a good start, kind of like a little mini movie, so to speak, which I think that even the Clone Wars did that originally, even though that was released theatrically. But obviously, and we're going to get more episodes every Friday moving forward. We'll get another one this week, which I think will probably have another little cameo appearance that was teased at the very end of this episode, but I'll get into that here in a little bit too. But overall, I think it had a lot of good fun action, a lot of interesting comedy bits as well. And the opening sequence of this show, which I'll get into in a minute too, was a nice little throwback and a little bit of a character setup for a future series that we've already seen. So I thought that was a really nice touch. But overall, my thoughts are great. I think that what we're going to be getting here is something new. The animation obviously is on point. It's just like the old Clone Wars series that Dave Filoni produced, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's incredible to see where the animation has come from that very first Clone Wars movie, like I was talking about, to where we are now. And Lucasfilm has perfected that style of animation, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at. So if you have not checked out the new Bad Batch episode, definitely do that. It's now on Disney+. But with that being said, I'm now going to get into a little bit of spoilers for this episode. So if you don't want to get ruined on the episode, tune out now, come back after you've watched the episode, and then get into my spoiler thoughts after that. Okay, with the spoiler warning now out of the way, I'm going to run through the episode just a little bit here. I thought the episode, like I said, did a great job of introducing us to each individual character in Clone Force 99. Hunter, Wrecker, Crosshair, Tech, Echo, and Omega herself. It did a great job of highlighting all their personalities and their skills, especially because Clone Force 99 is a clone squad that is basically defective, so to speak, hence the Bad Batch. But I wouldn't call them defective so much as enhanced, as in they all have their own special set of skills. It's like the A-Team almost. They all have special skills that they all can do, and when they come together as a team, they're a force to be reckoned with. And I thought the show did a very good job of introducing us to each one, even though we got a little bit of that at the end of the Clone Wars series, but now we're getting into it more in depth, and I think they did a good job at that. The show also started out, obviously, like I said, it picks up right after the end of Revenge of the Sith and the Clone Wars finale, and so we get a little bit of a flashback to where the Clone Force 99 was during Order 66, and I don't know if this contradicts the comic that covered this scene. I have to go back to look into the comics, but we get Depa Billaba, Jedi Master Depa Billaba, and her Padawan Caleb Doom. And for those of you who have seen Star Wars Rebels, young Caleb Doom here eventually becomes Kanan Jarrus in Star Wars Rebels. So we get this scene showing us what happened with young Caleb Doom and his master Depa Billaba during Order 66, and how he survived Order 66. Depa Billaba was not so lucky, unfortunately. But I thought that was a nice little tie into the Star Wars Rebels series that takes place after the Bad Batch series, leading into Episode 4 and all that. So, and Rogue One. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and it almost sounded like Freddie Prinze Jr. came back to do the voice. I didn't check the credits. I'm not sure, but if they did, they kind of de-aged him a little bit to where it made him sound younger. But either way, I thought they did a great job of portraying young Kanan here. And he had the same, voice mannerisms and same, attitude and just what you would expect young Caleb to be. And the most we got before of young Caleb was mostly maybe flashbacks and Rebels and, of course, comics and novels and discussing this scene where Caleb survived Order 66. So it was really cool to see, especially Hunter allowing him to escape because it seemed like the only clone in Clone Force 99 that was able or that actually had the chip in his head that was actually wanting to go through with Order 66 was Crosshair. The other ones didn't appear to have the chips, and they even explained how because they were enhanced and stuff they weren't programmed like the normal regular clones were, so they wouldn't have the urge to execute that order. So Crosshair, on the other hand, was the lone clone that appeared to have been maybe manipulated to follow through on that. So that was kind of interesting, which leads to where Crosshair goes into this episode here. We also got Tarkin, Admiral Tarkin, come in, and he was evaluating the clones on Kamino, basically telling the Kaminoans that it'd be much less expensive for the new Empire to recruit their own soldiers instead of having them cloned like they were doing throughout the prequels. And obviously that ties into Rebels and Episode 4, where we find out that the stormtroopers that we all know from the classic original trilogy are not clones. That's highly misunderstood in Star Wars circles, but among some fans. I mean, your diehard fans who have seen some of the animated shows and read the comics and stuff know that the prequel clone troopers are not the same troopers that they use in Episodes 4, 5, and 6, the classic trilogy. I mean, if you've only seen the movies, you are left to that assumption, and a lot of people are confused by that. But actually, the stormtroopers, after the Clone Wars and Episode 3, the clones were decommissioned, and most of them died out due to their advanced aging to help them grow faster. So the Empire recruited at less cost young, or not really young, but inexperienced stormtroopers, and that's why they can't ever hit anything in any classic trilogy. They're always shooting and missing their targets because they're not well trained. They were put through some training, but obviously they're not as skilled as the clone troopers were bred to be. So it makes a lot of narrative sense when you know the history of it based on these shows. So that's why I always say it's good to check out the animated shows and read some of the books. So they answer a lot of things that the movies don't get time to do. And in this case, it's a big piece of information. So obviously Tarkin was putting Clone Force 99 to the test, using live rounds actually, which is basically, in a way, Tarkin's, he's not one to pull punches. He's going to, put you through the ringer. And obviously the clones didn't take kindly to this. But in order to test their loyalty, he sends Clone Force 99 to Onderon to take out insurgents. And it turns out when they arrive on Onderon, the insurgents they're ordered to take out, they weren't droids. They turned out to be Republic resistance fighters, and led by Saw Gerrera, which obviously, is the character that shows up again in Rogue One, who was in the Clone Wars, and Anakin and Obi-Wan and everybody, trained them to become, resistance fighters. And obviously in Rogue One, he, Jyn Erso and all this stuff, and building up to the rebellion, so to speak. So the Clone Force 99 obviously choose not to take them out, and of course there's a probe droid that's been sent by Governor Tarkin or Admiral Tarkin to spy on them to make sure they fulfill their mission. And when they don't, obviously Tarkin now knows he can't trust them, except for Crosshair, obviously. Crosshair, the one who has the inhibitor chip and wants to follow orders to a T, obviously is loyal to the now Empire. And at the end of this episode, he defects. Well, I wouldn't say defects. He's actually brought in because he's been shown to be more loyal due to this probe droid detail, and showed that he wanted to fulfill the mission. So Tarkin has him taken in, and they enhance him even further with this inhibitor chip to where he will follow orders to the T. So he's actually not got much of a choice. He's kind of like the Winter Soldier a little bit from Marvel. He's kind of, being programmed to do as he's told, and he's not getting much of a choice on it. So there's probably going to be a long-term story arc here where the clones from Clone Force 99 are probably going to try to get Crosshair back, and if they can remove that inhibitor chip, much like they did in the Clone Wars with Captain Rex, and perhaps he will come back to the good side. So that could be a nice, at least season-long story arc that we could get into here. So I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with that. So yeah, then of course we learn a little bit about Clone Force 99 goes back to Kamino to rescue this young clone Omega, which they find out is basically just like them. She's enhanced. There was the Kaminoans say that there are 5 enhanced clones, and she's the 5th. Echo, if you remember, is not an advanced clone. He's a regular clone that was saved at the end of the Clone Wars, and so he joined their group, but he's not one of them, so to speak. But they come to find out that she is the 5th one that was left, and so they feel like they need to go save her because she's one of them. So when we find that out, they go back to get her, and she ends up going with them after Crosshair turns on them, and so it's the 5 without Crosshair now going on their own. And they're going to have missions and, probably find their way in the newly formed Imperial era and trying to figure out what they're going to do now, because they're not going to serve the Empire. So we immediately get, their decision of where they're going to go in this series. We're not going to be hung on, and they're maybe like whether or not they're going to be with the Empire or not. They immediately pretty much, all agree outside of Crosshair that they can't become part of the Empire. So it's good to see that set up in the first episode. So, and at the end, the tease at the end of the episode, obviously they say they know a guy that could help them. And I think that this is going to be Captain Rex, the clone from the Clone Wars, and, the good friends of Ahsoka. So we're going to probably get him, I'm guessing, in episode 2 here. We'll find out on Friday when the next episode of The Bad Batch airs. But I really enjoyed this episode. It was a good start. I mean, it kind of... It started off hot with the Kanan Jarrus stuff, and then, you're learning more about the clones. Then it kind of slowed down a little bit in the middle. But by the end, I thought they did a good job of setting up this series. So I'm very excited to see where they go. It's good to see Star Wars back. I know it's only been a few months since the last Mandalorian season, but it's been a long year with the pandemic, and it's just good to see good old-fashioned Star Wars, entertainment back on our TV screens. But what did you guys think of the new Bad Batch Episode 1 Aftermath episode? Comment down below. Let me know. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and, of course, hit the notification bell so you get all the notifications about when I put up new content on my channel. And until my next video, guys, take care.